discussion with the Nod Yehuda. Is it 7, or is it 8? What? Or is it 8? No, but I'm saying the Mishnah himself says alludes to this. Rabbi Shir zeh bevari yesh b'shisha osios, keshisha osios. I mean, so if the Mechaber says you only have to have 9 letters, right? So 9 letters really mean? No, we're talking 9 letters. How could 9 letters be 9 yuds? So where do we come up with this 3 asheres? Which each one 6, which is 18, and we're talking about it's 20, right? With the 2 spaces.
A regular asher,
I know.
A regular asher with the 2 spaces is close to 9.
Right, exactly.
So that's what we're saying.
Right. That's what he says here. L'chatchil, it should be 3 asheres, including the 2 spaces. 1 second. Yeah, so that, which is what? Which is 18. Being table l'tzorch lo niach melo'ia. B'di'ev yishlokel k'sheminiach rak melo tes osios ketanos. Tanu yudin. So l'chilo, you're supposed to have 20. 20 yuds. The equivalent of 20 yuds. Or maybe even a little more than 20 yuds. That's the space. B'di'evid, said the Mechaber, so what? He says, B'di'evid yishlokel. So the Mechaber, when he says tes osios, that's b'di'evid. It's a little bit of a dochik. I mean, so Mechaber evidently holds tes is l'chatchila. He's not telling you how to do it b'di'evid. Right? U'chmashmos shulchan aruch kan. Kosbri megodim sharon ha'revach sh'tasosis kfi osa aksav. That's what he's saying. Choshir hazehu bein l'psucha bein l'stuma. To be continued. It's in Mrs. Sharon. No. Talking about yuds. You just read the Mishnah. It says when the Chaber says tes osis, it means yud. Yud. That's the chatchila.
Why do we even have this asher issue? Why don't we just use the mental letters, like 9 letters? Why, it just seems like you have this whole interpretation of what that means. It's more complicated. It's just saying how many letters and you have the spaces. I
think maybe because the yuds, a yud, you can make it, the question is how wide is a yud? The answer is the yuds are the size of 3 asheres. So as many yuds as you could fit into there, that's what it is.
Like an aleph is 2 yuds, so it's 2 letters there. We'll break it up to shem, it's 2 rounds, so it's 3 yuds. It's easy to discern.
We're saying it's much more. It's much more than 9. That 1 asher is 6. Is more than 6. 1 case, yeah. So and plus the spaces we're talking about, it's 20, little even more than 20. It could be 21, 22. Okay.
What makes it valid? It depends on where it is.
Because the way it's written in the Torah, it's written as a psucha, the first 3 parshas of the Kriya Shema.
Okay.
So therefore, in the Tefillin, it has to be written as a psucha. Right. So now what's the psucha? So that's what we're discussing now. Okay. Gary, I see you need some preparation for slichus. That's why you showed up today. Okay, good. Exactly. He remembers when he was 15. You know, he remembers Rebbe and MTA told him, you better, you know? Okay. Okay. Yeah, we left off on Ein Ches. This is Shorim Ein Ches, page 78, bottom paragraph. Proti midas hanekiyus. Hine kol shetzorach b'masim. Just as a person has to be totally cleansed regarding the area of one's actions, behavior, it should meet every level of halacha criteria. Kach tzorach nikiyus b'midos. One needs total perfection at the utmost level in midos, behavior, how to behave. In terms of one's behavior, it's much more difficult than being meticulous and exacting in one's actions in terms of halacha. For instance, let's say anger. Anger is the one's nature. So if it's one's nature, yeah, it's driven from the essence of the person. The other has to do with, do you appreciate, to what degree do you appreciate how wrong something is? One is internally driven, the other one is, to what degree do you value whatever that is? How important is it? Yan ha-mezek va-tchunahim o-mesayim o-misnagdim gedolim him. He says one's character, mezek, and tchuna, one's temperament, assist one to behave a certain way, or they actually interfere. They're great impediments. Any battle which you're going against the grain, you're going against the grain of the person. This is the greatest, this is the most difficult battle to win.
So mezek is what?
You go to Israel now, then when you hear mezeg avir, temperature. Mezeg, he says, that's the like the temperament. Tchun is really temperament. Temperament, he says, in personality. It's interesting, temperament and temperature. Right. Okay. What is truly considered strength? We say strength of character. A person can control his inclination. You take control of your life. Control of your life is the most difficult. You know, it's interesting. The Rambam speaks about a person is naturally, he's very strongly inclined to be a glutton. He enjoys to eat. That's a temperament. Some people, they have no interest in food or physical pleasure to the point it's detrimental to them. Right? He speaks about different extremes. The person is naturally gluttonous. Another person is an aesthetic. He has no interest in anything physical. He speaks about the equidistant point between the balance. Right? So I'm just saying, all those that he speaks about is what? You're going against the grain. Naturally, I have no interest in food, but you have to eat, so you have to force yourself. That's kovish yisitro. A person has an inclination to be gluttonous, you have to rein in on yourself. So it goes, so that's Ezo Giba kovish yisitro, so that's the ultimate level. That's the Ezo Giba, or one's not Mechal Shabbos. Right? Because if you would appreciate what Shabbos is, and you understand the wrong, you wouldn't violate Shabbos. But a person's, the other thing is almost like an addiction. A person's a drug addict. He knows exactly all the literature about it. The moment he starts craving, whatever he knows becomes irrelevant at that moment. Because he loses control over himself. He doesn't have sufficient control to take control of his life. But in terms of Shabbos, if you appreciate why it's wrong to violate the Shabbos, you're not going to violate the Shabbos. The answer is because you minimize, or you're not fully aware, you don't value it sufficiently, so you say it's okay to violate the Shabbos. In this nuance, right? Person says, Milk says, that's not so terrible. And somehow will rationalize why it's permitted. The others, even without rationalization, you have to really take control. Being Amidus Hein Rabos, he says, traits of character are many. Every action that we have relevance to in the physical world, our actions are a derivative of the midos. Give you an example: person who's arrogant, pompous, self-centered, talks a certain way, right? Tells you all about himself, or he has to put someone else down to lift himself up, right? Like, what does a person insult another person? For what reason? He's such a terrible person because he has such a need to feel superior, he has to put the other person down. That's otherwise we're insulting another person. So again, but that's not. I know the halacha. I don't know the halacha. It's just the reality of what the person needs. It's a need that he has. So therefore, in this area, one has to cleanse himself to a greater degree. People that normally they stumble. Identically, we're going to speak about the main character traits in a more lengthy way, in a deeper way. Arrogance, haughtiness, self-centeredness, kas, hakinu, envy, desire. This is the fabric of every human being. You have to control it. The Gemara says in one location that when he saw the humility of this person, Amore says, I thought I was humble. When seeing this, I have no relevance to humility. In the time of the Gemara, when a person was a Rashiva, a person said a shir, there was always what we call a Maturgaman. Person would, not a translator, he would say it over. Wasn't a translator. Maturgaman normally doesn't, but it does mean that as the Rambam said in Talmud Torah, because the way it has to be communicated similar to Sinai. We heard Hashem speak to Moshe, but yet Moshe transmitted it to us. We asked the question to Moshe, although Hashem knew the question we asked, and Moshe presented our question. It goes back and forth. So each one hears what the other one is saying. But that's the matter of communication.
It was after the sentence.
After whatever, or after whatever was the sentence or the subject matter, whatever. But he would say it over verbatim, word for word. He wouldn't embellish it. And even the level of audibility, it has to be the same level of audibility as the Rebbe had said. The Maturgan cannot speak higher, more loudly, or softly, or quiet than the one who communicates. Okay? There's nothing. Purely, it's like almost like a recording, giving it over. So the Gemara says this person gives over to this intermediary, and the intermediary, he says over, not like the person told him. He says over his own Chidushei Torah. And the person doesn't say a word. So the one who views this says, you know something? I thought I was humble. Not to be upset, and this man is saying over his, only using somebody else's platform as his platform. This is already too much for me. I couldn't handle that. And this other person was okay with it. No problem. More power to him.
All the people hearing the audience want me to hear both of us because they know that this guy is doing it.
It doesn't make a difference. Firstly, sometimes the person says, what do I have to pay attention the first time? I can pay attention the second time. Right? Right? It doesn't make a difference. The Rebbe still does it, but the Maturgaman, you have to get it in by the Maturgaman. If you hear what the Maturgaman says, then you have the information. Because he's supposed to be saying over exactly what was communicated to him. So let's say a person missed something by the Rebbe, so he picks it up by the Maturgaman. Right? What happens if the Maturgaman inserts his own Chidushim? So what you're hearing is not what the Rebbe said, you're hearing what the Maturgaman said. And that's what this person did. There's a story many years ago, Rav Shizkan, I mentioned his name many times. He was Rav Moshe's son-in-law. He was like a malach, very holy man, holy. And he passed away. He was 52 years old on the day that he was born. Shmuel Hanavi. The day he was born, that's the day he passed away. 52 years old. He was a kodosh. And like him, if you would be in his presence, you'd think he was holding by Mila, Yom Kippur. That's the way he conducted his life. And he exuded Kedusha. Exuded it. So when his father passed away, his father had a shul. He was a Rashiva in Tervadas. When his father passed away, left over a white elephant. I mean, there's no way to describe what this was. But he felt, out of respect, he'll take over the shul. The average age was 75 and above. The shul was in disrepair, and he had to maintain it and provide for these old people, spend time with them, whatever it was. And there were some young people who came there also, who were very, devout followers of his, because he was a tzaddik. And the older people didn't know this. I remember the shamus there. His name I was 5, 6 years old when I used to go there during the week with my father, Shalom. His name was Mr. Kaplan. He was 95 years old. This is like in early 50s. He was 95 years old. He went around with the pushka. You know? And, you know, he used to drink. He liked to drink, this Mr. Kaplan. What? Yeah. So they used to give him 3 cents in the pushka, 2 cents for himself. That's what they used to give him. So what happened was, all of a sudden, the Rebbe shows up, Hasidic rabbi. And he goes, and of course, Rav Shishkal gives him the greatest honor. You should sit up front on the other side of the Omud. Okay? All of a sudden, he starts behaving as if it's a shul. Initially, it was an Ashkenaz shul. You don't have to wear a gartel when you go to Omud. He put up a sign, you can only go to Omud if you wear a gartel. And he started to, what they say, prava, his Rebbish, he started to exert himself. And then people started giving money, you know. And the younger people were getting upset. They went to Rav Shishkal. How do you allow this? I mean, it's just too much already. The level of disrespect and arrogance, how do you allow this? She goes, it's okay, don't worry about it, it's okay. It lasted 3 months. 3 months after he arrived, it was over. Man passed away. That was the end of the story. He was okay with it. Never said a word. Never said a word. Okay, that was the end of the story.
Definitely.
There's a story in Noda Yehuda. Story in Noda Yehuda. This man was supposed to divorce his wife. So Noda Yehuda had it. The person was supposed to divorce his wife. He didn't behave properly. So Noda Yehuda, he came before the Noda Yehuda's Bezdin. Noda Yehuda says, look, you have to release your wife. Man says, over his dead body, he's not giving her a get. And to go up to the Bezdin, he had to walk up, like in Europe, they had these staircases were like 40 steps on the outside of the building. You walk up steps, these wooden steps. Maybe Yehuda says you have a choice. The Mishnah says in Kedushin, a woman's permitted to marry one or two ways, either divorce or death, one or the other. You have your choice. Man slammed the door, he tripped, fell down the steps and broke his neck. That was the end of the story. Famous story of Noda Yehuda.